we can begin the next front in our war, which we are calling opening up America again. We must have a working economy, and we want to get it back very, very quickly. And that's what's going to happen. I believe it will boom.
All right, that was the president, obviously. He was preparing the nation for the next front in this war against COVID-19. And as the White House releases their guidelines for states to reopen, carefully, that is, and in 3 separate phases. The Coronavirus Task Force will be coming out again in an hour from now for their Friday update. So in the meantime, we will break it all down. First of all, the first phase could see the reopening of gyms, restaurants, movie theaters, and sport venues, but with strict social distancing measures in place. Schools would stay closed, and high-risk individuals would stay home. The other phases would then loosen restrictions more if cases continue to fall. But there are some critics of the plan, including Speaker Nancy Pelosi, calling those guidelines, quote, vague and inconsistent. And here's more reaction from other Democrats.
I think what he's done, he's kind of punted. He's decided that he doesn't have the right to make the call for the country.
You have to know who has the illness, who's immune from the illness, and who could get the illness before we can determine who can go back to work.
Okay, it's up to the states, but then don't ask the states, don't give them this massive undertaking that has never been done before, and then not give them any resources to do it.
All right. Happy Friday. Greg, I wanted to start with you.
Yes.
I thought I'd give a little perspective just to set this up, because in a way, all of us sort of feel like it's Groundhog's Day. It's been about 4 weeks now that we've been doing the show remote, at least I have from here. And last Friday was the end of the week of which Jerome Adams, the Surgeon General, had said this is going to be our Pearl Harbor moment. That was when we had hopefully reaching the apex and the peak. This week, we're talking about the reopening, and we have some guidance. Some of it is vague because the states are going to have to decide based on their different criteria. But isn't that a little bit of a hopeful sign that it's not just one big blob, that we actually can look at some progress here?
Yeah, I don't see anything here that is vague. I see a roadmap, and you're allowed to drive it. What drives me crazy is that if Trump had taken more command over this and said, this is what you're going to do, they would have accused him of being autocratic, a dictator, and a tyrant. So what does he do? He shares the responsibility with the governors. He says, here's the roadmap. You drive the car. And now he's accused of punting by Joe Biden. Are you serious? It is so pathetic. And then I predicted this yesterday. I said that Pelosi wasn't going to say anything until after the plan is revealed, because she didn't want any skin in this game. She preferred to stand in front of her double-wide refrigerator and suck down ice cream until she gets an ice cream headache than actually offer practical advice. You know, you can sit on a fence and you could, crap on people doing the job when you're out of power. That makes sense. But at this point, it's just so obvious and so sad. In this situation, people's lives there's going to be death. Because every path that we choose is going to have death. So the path that you have to choose is a roadmap in which you can go in reverse, or you can pause, or you can take a left or a right.
Yeah.
That's what this is. You are a sports car with a stick shift, and you shift gears based on the terrain that's coming at you, and you can even go in reverse. That's what this guideline is. So to sit there and go like, oh, it's vague and inconsistent, you're just an idiot. Pure and simple. Stick to your ice cream.
That's, of course, Pelosi. I think that we have a couple of Trump tweets today and then a Cuomo soundbite. If you could pull up those Trump tweets so I could read those for folks who are maybe listening on the radio. So President Trump tweeted this morning that Governor Cuomo should spend more time doing and less time complaining. Get out there and get the job done. Stop talking. We built you thousands of hospital beds that you didn't need or use, gave large numbers of ventilators that you should have had, and helped you with, let's see, there's a little bit more, testing that you should be doing. We have given New York far more money, help, and equipment than any other state by far. And these great men and women who did the job never hear you say thanks. Your numbers are not good. Less talk and more action. I think he does say thank you a lot, quite a bit, to the healthcare workers, but Governor Cuomo decided to respond. We have a soundbite of that. Let's listen.
First of all, if he's sitting home watching TV, maybe he should get up and go to work, right? Second, let's keep emotion and politics out of this and personal ego if we can, because this is about the people and it's about our job. And let's try to focus on that.
All right, Juan, I'll let you take a whack at this one.
Well, I hate to see us get political about this. I mean, I think we need to work together, and I would hope that, sometimes the president loves to be celebrated and thanked and all that. Okay, so Cuomo then fires back. I'm not sure it takes us much of anywhere. But I will say this, in terms of the plan, Dana, to me, I feel like everybody's got cabin fever. We know about the high unemployment numbers. Everybody wants to get out, get back to work. But we have to be careful. We can't let sort of emotions, drive us, impatience, because if we don't have testing, if we don't have contact tracing, then we could get ourselves in a very difficult situation where we put our workers, the people going back to work, at a very high level of risk, and we put all their customers, the people they come into contact with, work with, also at risk. And then we could find ourselves in a worse situation. So I think when you hear people say, we'd like to know how to deal with that, and we'd like the federal government's help, I think in terms of specifics, what Schumer was talking about, even what you heard from Governor Cuomo in terms of, okay, if you lay out a plan, give us some of the resources to make it work. I think that's what people are saying. I don't think it has to necessarily become sort of something nasty and divisive and finger-pointing.
Got it. And actually, Katie, I saw there were lots of different governors on the well, Greg's laughing, but I'll just keep going. Lots of different governors on the shows today talking about how they are working in coordination with the federal government, and they're trying to figure out their own roadmaps. So there was a Colorado governor, the Alaska governor, Ohio, and all of these states have a little bit of a different situation on their hands.
Which is exactly why the president has said it's up to you guys to do what you want with this plan. It's going to be in phases. Different places with lower density populations are going to have a different project and process moving forward on this. But it's interesting to watch what's happening here in D.C., or not in D.C., where our lawmakers are at home. You have Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi criticizing this plan and continually saying that you have to be careful, you have to make sure the economy isn't open too quickly. Well, when they're sitting there at home and not refilling the Paycheck Protection Plan, with a program, and not coming up with any other ideas about how to get people some economic help while they continue to advocate for the economy to be closed, it's really easy to do that. And it's also easy to do it when you're getting a paycheck. And the bottom line, I think, for people who are getting cabin fever, as Juan said, is they want to be able to make their own decisions about their own risk. At this point, they understand a lot more about the virus than we did 2 months ago, and they understand what precautions they need to take to not get sick, but they really want to be able to do that on their own without being dictated to by the government.
All right, Jesse, let me give you the last word here.
Well, I mean, if Democrats have a problem with the plan, take it up with Fauci and Birx. They're the experts that signed off on it. And then there's Cuomo. Everybody on the left loves him. They want him to run for president. So President Trump gives him free power. And they say, oh, he can't handle it. He can't do it by himself all of a sudden. Cuomo's complaining about not getting the resources. He just donated hundreds of ventilators to other states because he had overcapacity, because the president gave him so many. They just built a hospital in Long Island. They haven't even used it yet. So I would stop complaining already before the president's even given you any additional resources. The country's viewing this from two different perspectives. There's people that are better off, that are kind of having a little fun, maybe working from home. They're still getting paid. They're Zooming, they're doing their thing. They're cooking. And then there's people that can't afford to work from home. They don't have a job. They've lost a business which has been in their family for generations, and they're dying to get back to work. And one side doesn't understand the other side. How could you not want to protect the health? Well, what about if it spreads further? And then the other side is saying, wait a second, you guys understanding my position. I need to work to feed my family, or else this is it for me. And they're talking across of each other. And a lot of it has to do with New York. The state of New York has 225,000 cases. New Jersey has 75,000 cases. Combined, that's 300,000 virus cases. The next biggest state that has a case is like 30,000, Massachusetts. Other states like Wyoming, North Dakota, Hawaii, Vermont, West Virginia, they have a couple hundred cases. And so to say that New York should open up at the same rate as Vermont, which has like a handful of cases, is stupid. Everybody knows that's stupid, but they're trying to attack the president for politics, and that's just wrong.